put it in the office, like the librarian's office room, just for a little humor.
Okay, Otis, we're on it.
Close.
I think I'm good.
All right.
Do we need one of these big foam things now too, so we can, back in the day?
What's up with Pastor Jackson? You know, she
Oh,
sits
did you?
there.
You did a lot of work while I was taking a nap.
She talking about getting us over at what's that on 7 in Detroit, at high school.
At the high school in 7 Mile? 7 Mile of what?
In Detroit. It ain't nowhere than Mother's Day.
We'll call to order the regular meeting of the East Point Community Schools Board of Education, October 23rd, 2003, at 6:30. I even hear an echo. Are you guys hearing an echo too?
He's going to close the door.
She has we have a meeting.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Grunberg,
Here.
Dr. Early,
Here.
Mr. Williams here, Mr. Roscoe,
Here.
Miss Rayford,
Here.
Mrs. Richardson, and Mrs. Grunberg.
Here.
Okay, if we could all please stand. Gentleman that gave us these football scores, lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Place forth the motion to approve the agenda as written.
Support.
Comments, questions? Please call the vote.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Dr. Early,
Yes.
Mrs. Rayford,
No.
Mrs. Richardson,
Yes.
and Mrs. Grunberg.
Yes.
Next is consent agenda. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, any issues with any of these items? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Dr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Rayford,
No.
Mrs. Richardson,
Yes.
Mrs. Grunberg.
Yes.
Next is superintendent's report. Superintendent Gibson.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Education, as well as those of you joining us at home online. This is the superintendent's report for October 23rd. We continue to celebrate these moments that matter. We'd like to congratulate this evening our 8 staff members, and we will have them formally recognized later when the board approves their 10-year recognition. But we'd like to recognize this evening Jody Austin. Jody is a instructional coach at Crescentwood Elementary School. Katie Bellamonte, who was our high school teacher of the year and health teacher. David Dove, East Point Middle School counselor. Janet Beiersdorf Huffnagel, pictured there with half of Lucky, is our high school social studies and assessment coordinator. Jessica Federico, 5th grade at Pleasant View. Julie Netsky, who is a district psychologist. Michelle Roll, who is a GSRP teacher at the ELC. And Cheryl White, who is a special education teacher at Bellevue Elementary School. Congratulations to these 8 tenured teachers. Thank you for your commitment to East Point Community Schools, and congratulations. I'd like to thank this Board of Education for accompanying your superintendent at the Detroit Images and Perceptions Diversity Conference last week on Wednesday. It was a great opportunity. We got to meet the Lieutenant Governor, got to learn a lot about diversity and our images and perceptions, both from students, educators, legislators, there was a Hollywood panel. It was a great opportunity to continue conversations about how we are different and we celebrate the differences that each person brings to the work. A shout out for our homecoming game, which was last Friday evening. There you've got our cheerleaders doing stunts and preparing for competitive cheer season, and congratulations to our homecoming court. Then after the homecoming football dance, the high school celebrated with a dance on that Saturday evening, and the students dressed up in their finest and were at the Athena Banquet Hall for their homecoming celebration. The state fire marshal paid East Point Community Schools a visit. As those of you might know, October is Fire Safety Month. And so books were read, and the fire marshal visited both Crescentwood and Forest Park elementary schools. Thank you to the fire marshals for their visit and to local fire as well. East Point Middle School football is still undefeated. Our East Point Middle School football team is 5-0 with one more game to go. Their final game of the season is tomorrow night, 5 p.m. at Jefferson Middle School in St. Clair Shores. So there's still one more chance to cheer on your Shamrocks. Family feedback on attendance. As the board knows, we've been using Thought Exchange to engage with students, staff members, and families. And it's important that when we ask questions that we listen to those answers and then make shifts to the way that we do our work. The survey was opened over the parent-teacher conferences and then recently closed. We wanted families to help us understand some of their challenges as it pertains to getting students to school and being on time for school. While many responded that it is not an issue, some of the top reasons that people did respond, it is a challenge, is that they have difficulty getting students awake and out the door in the morning, unreliable transportation and or the distance to some of our bus stops or schools, the traffic and the parking issues in front of our schools, schools starting at the same time, and health issues or job conflicts of the parent and guardian are some of the reasons that our families are struggling with attendance. Our top themes from our responses were getting up early, the routine, the timing, being single parents, traffic, poor health. And so this shows where families fell in. Part of the work also here in East Point, next week, I want to let the community know that because of our increased enrollment at our elementary schools, we have a much higher volume of families dropping off students or picking up students in the morning or at the end of the school day. And this is at our Early Learning Center and 4 elementary schools. Many of our principals have instituted some changes to the pickup and drop off to increase the safety for the students. Families, you may notice an increased police presence during drop off and pickup, because we are partnering with East Point Police Department to continue to ensure the safety of our children by enforcing some traffic regulations. So please be aware, family and community members, that any violations of traffic laws could result in a ticket from the East Point Police Department. Again, this is in partnership with the school district to keep our children safe to and from vehicles into the school every morning and out back into the care of their families. As those of you know, it is approaching Halloween. It is a very busy time. Please check your school's communications regarding events happening, but it is the end of Q1 on October 27th. On Halloween, we do have a half day of school for students. It is a full day for Teacher Record Day. November 2nd, we have a Gleaners food distribution, 11:30 a.m. at East Point Middle School. On November 7th, because our schools are polling locations, it will be a no school for students day. And on November 13th, the Board of Education meeting will be 6:30 p.m. at East Point High School auditorium. So for our next board meeting, we will not be here, but we will be at the high school auditorium. Thank you very much. That concludes the superintendent's report this evening.
I guess I can offer it up to anybody else, but I would like to kind of expound on one thing, which was the diversity conference that we went to. And all I was going to say is, I had one disappointment and one highlight, and it came out of the same person.
Interesting.
Martha Reeves was a disappointment because her mic was not working to start when she came out on the stage, and she was starting to serenade us as a crowd. But the crowd did join in and start to sing along with her, so we could hear pretty much the song being sung. But, and the highlight that came out of that same person was what? Do you remember? When she said she was a product of public education.
Yes, she did.
And those were the two things, and it was just, I was sitting here thinking that it was strange that the only disappointment I really had at the conference is that I couldn't hear her sing. But the biggest point for me, and I don't know if you guys realize, I kind of broke into applause like simultaneously when she said public education, because I really don't think that story gets told enough. So the types of people that have come out of public education, and everybody thinks that they just want to talk poorly about public education all the time. Public education has produced an awful lot of incredible people.
Some great people.
So, if anybody else wants to add anything to any of the subjects that you covered, feel free, but if not, I don't see any, we'll move on. Next is hearing of the public. We'll open that up at 6:41. Does anyone wish to be heard? Yes, sir. You know the rules, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dan Zanders. I just wanted to talk about football season this past year. I tell you, I went down all through the games, and I do not like winning. I do not like losing. Winning is very important because football is one of my favorite things to have to watch, because I saw you guys out there and I thought, oh my gosh, it's so doggone raining out there and I don't like it. So I gave all you one a copy of the scores, and I just thought, well, maybe I do all my work, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I like Miss Gibson, bless her heart. I saw you at this football time, and you're looking good out there to keep the school going, and keep up the good work. And board, I appreciate for your time, and thank you for me to be out with you and talking to the parents and everybody. The homecoming was a little bit, just a little bit not too bad out there, but like I said, they're losing and the winning is not. The winning is my favorite, and the losing is not my favorite things.
Okay.
So maybe next time, maybe next year, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be out there most of the time. I have a wonderful time out there, and now after we get done, after this season, will be basketball season's coming up. I don't know what day that would be, and I would let you guys know when is it, and I'd let you know. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else wish to be heard? We'll close it at 6:43 then. Next item on the agenda, discussion, action, we have human resources. First, we have new hires, instruction of new hires. Is there a motion to approve the instruction of new hires?
Motion to approve the new hires.
Support.
Any questions, comments? Please call the vote.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Dr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Rayford,
Yes.
Mrs. Richardson,
Yes.
and Mrs. Grunberg.
Yes.
Okay, and next is teacher tenure recognition. I'm quite sure the superintendent wants to expound on that a little bit, right?
As I mentioned in the superintendent's presentation, we'd like the board to acknowledge and recognize Jody Austin, Katie Bellamonte, David Dove, Janet Beiersdorf Huffnagel, Jessica Federico, Julie Netsky, Michelle Roll, and Cheryl White for obtaining tenure here in East Point Community Schools. That means these employees have been with the organization for 5 years, or they obtained tenure in another district and have been with us for 2. Looking at the list, I can tell you that all of these employees have been with the organization for 5 years, and it is our proud pleasure to bring them forward to the Board of Education and recognize their commitment to our organization. There is no further board action other than to recognize them, and unfortunately, none of them are here in presence. They might be joining us, though, online.
Okay, well then, I will just speak on behalf of the board and congratulate all of them for
Congratulations.
getting tenure.
There you go.
It is a very big, important step in their careers.
All right.
Next, we have curriculum.
Yes, please, thank you. I'd like to turn it over to Assistant Superintendent Stephanie Fleming, and the curriculum team is here in force.
All
Okay,
right.
step back.
All right. All right, good evening, Board of Education and Community. Tonight, I'm excited tonight because we get to showcase some of the work that we're doing on the curriculum and grants side of the house. And when we started to look at the fact that we were presenting this tonight, we were kind of overwhelmed by how much has been going on in our district and how we could possibly pare this down to make it not a super long evening for us all. I brought tonight my curriculum and grants team, who consists of Lisa Petrella, who's our Director of Curriculum Assessment and Instruction, Donna Fabian Grossman, who is our MTSS, Family Liaison and Homeless Liaison, and Patrick Taylor, who is our District Librarian. Dwaisha Bolding is also our Curriculum and Grants Specialist, and she was not able to join us tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and try to share here. Let's see if I can do it. Shout out to Danny Latham, who remotely fixed my computer while we were sitting here. All right. So a little bit, there we go. Here we go. So when we talk about curriculum and grants, the main part of this is really the assessment piece. And I know that assessment is our data. Data is a snapshot of where we are at any given moment. And I think that's really important to understand because, you know, kids come into our schools, they do, on assessment days, they do the best they can, but we're not in control of a lot of factors that go on. So our teachers and our principals are tasked with looking at that data and analyzing that data, and then working in collaborative groups each week to discuss how their kids are moving along. So we're going to show you some NWEA data and some beginning of the year data, but that is literally what it is. It's the beginning of the year. We expect to see data that isn't necessarily strong, and that is okay. And that's a big message, I think, in our district is it's okay to be where you're at. It's just not okay to stay there. And so the more important conversation is not about what the data is necessarily showing us, but it's what are we doing about it. And so when we meet with our teachers, when our principals really meet with our teachers, and we go around the district, the main focus are really just a few questions that we have. And these questions are a cycle. What do we want students to learn? How do we know that they're learning? How do we respond when they are not learning necessarily, or if they're not grasping a concept or standard? How do we enrich them if they are? How do we increase our instructional competence as professionals through training? And how do we coordinate our efforts as a school district? And those last two questions are really the pieces where we help support our buildings. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Lisa Petrella, who's kind of our assessment guru in the district, and she's very adept at all of the assessment processes. She's going to walk through a little bit of the NWEA data and what that means for us as a district right now.
Good evening, everyone. So last year I came in the fall and the spring and we did a benchmark assessment report. This year, the law in regard to benchmark assessment reporting requirements have changed. However, we feel it's very important that we're still committed to giving you these updates. So we're committed to 3 cycles of NWEA in the fall and the winter and the spring. We use NWEA to measure growth towards proficiency of standards. And the MDE recommends that we keep using the same benchmark as last year, so we are doing so. We are committed to updating you and our community in the fall and in the spring. We're committed to sharing student assessment data with parents within 30 days of the testing window, as all buildings did, just I believe it was last week when we had parent-teacher conferences. And we're also committed to having our buildings do data digs that analyze assessment results and inform our next instructional moves in PLCs and in the professional development that they deliver to their staff. As Stephanie said, this is our fall data, so this is really answering the question of where are we right now. What you're looking at here is the NWA map growth from fall to fall. So the blue bar represents the observed growth. The diamond represents the projected growth. We want the observed growth to meet or surpass the projection, right? So I think last time I was here, we talked about we want the diamond to be in the pool, in that blue bar, which is an oversimplified explanation. But I wanted to make sure that we understand that what we're looking at here is just the trend of K through 12, and we're looking at growth, not proficiency. But I would like to highlight for you that 4th, 6th, and 9th grade, and 11th grade, really, those cohorts, we're seeing where the observed growth meets or exceeds the grade level norms projected growth. Again, since this is a fall-to-fall measurement, what really we're looking at, this is reflective of the previous year's instruction, because we took these tests pretty much right out of the gate in September, and it's showing only students who are with us for both fall testing cycles, so for a full academic year. So the 4th grade, 6th grade, 9th grade, and 11th grade, we would look at the year previous, and we would want to really celebrate those successes. So that was math, that first chart. The next one is language arts. Same report from NWEA, but again, look at that 4th grade. 4th grade again, for both subjects, that observed growth is meeting or exceeding the grade level norms projected growth. So other grades are definitely approaching their projections as well. Next slide, I think, is a little easier to understand. So I did a really quick side-by-side comparison using RIT growth, and this is just showing us that students who are in attendance for both testing cycles are showing growth. Elementary and middle schools in particular, we're showing growth towards proficiency. It may not be as quickly as we would desire, but we are showing growth between fall to fall. We are seeing growth in both subjects, which is also good news, but we know that we must maintain it all the way through high school. What's typical, and as you saw with that last one that sloped down, that achievement gap widens as students get older. So that's where we are. Stephanie, I'm going to turn it back to you to talk a little bit about how parents and the community can learn more about school data.
So the MDE has pushed out the parent dashboard, and that is a very comprehensive but easy to use website. And I've put the link on here, which we have it on our website as well. On the dashboard, there are little 2-minute videos that also walk people through exactly how to do a variety of things. So the dashboard will identify key performance indicators that are used to measure schools, things like graduation rates, attendance rates, proficiency, growth. And those performance indicators can be found on the dashboard. I'll just click on it for the sake of showing you. So this would be something that you would see. Oh, let's go to here. So there's the high school, but you just go to the main page, and what you can do is you can actually just enter in the school, or you can find it on the map. And when you click on it, it will show literally a dashboard around state performance tests, attendance, and the like. So if we were to put in, let's put in Bellevue. Well, it should show up. I don't know why it's not. I just had the high school up, that might be why. Well. Well, it should be that simple. So, for some reason, we know I'm having a little bit of tech issues here. But it should, when you go to this, and it could be because I did have a school up here before, but you would put in the school, district, county, or address. It will pull up a dashboard that will show you all the different parameters of school measurement. You can do comparative reports, which is literally as simple as clicking compare, and then you click on whatever it is you want to compare. If you want to do grade bands, if you want to do ELA, math, different content levels, and you would see something like this. So fortunately, I have a screenshot here, which will show you something that you would see if my website was working properly. So this would be a performance summary and a progress summary on the dashboard for Bellevue Elementary. So Lisa, if you want to go ahead and talk through what this looks like and how to read it if you were somebody who were to look at the dashboard.
Absolutely. So here's an example of key performance indicators using the state testing results. So that's different. The benchmark is local, but we choose NWEA, but the state test would be things like M-STEP and SAT and PSAT and so on. So the performance summary is showing the percentage of students who are proficient in all subjects on state tests. The progress summary is showing the percent of students who are making progress towards proficiency or increasing their proficiency in all subjects on state tests. So we're really looking at when you look at those side by side, the performance summary, okay, East Point students are green. The pink actually represents the average similar schools that are based off similar characteristics to our students. So it could be demographics, it could be free and reduced lunch, et cetera. And then the orange bar is the state average. So in the first example, we're looking at proficiency, but what I really wanted to point out is that progress summary, which is the same trend as what we looked at with NWA data, that we see that our students are progressing. If you look at the at this example, the percentage of students who are making progress towards proficiency is trending upward. 2 years ago in 2021, we had 11% of our students who were showing progress towards proficiency, and the last testing cycle, 26%. So that's a leap. We may not be there yet, we may not be at the goal, but we're moving kids in the right direction over time. Next slide. So what are we doing to address the identified areas of need? Is this my slide? I think so. So to put it simply, we know that we have things in place. We are adding resources and we're providing lots of support. So we have some highlights that we want to share with you. I'd like to say quickly, but there's so much to celebrate. We're going to get through it as fast as we can. I'm going to go back to summer because I don't think I've been here since then. This summer we had 223 students who attended summer school, grades K-8, and we had 218 from the high school who were enrolled in credit recovery courses. We're also able to partner with Boys and Girls Club. This is a tribute to Donna. We are able to provide several students transportation from summer school to spend the rest of the day in the Boys and Girls Club doing all kinds of fun activities. So that's a celebration. I wanted to show you this data highlight. This is something that shows our summer math scholars. They showed growth from pre to post assessments during that summer window, but the incoming fourth graders really soared. So if you look at that data, pre-test 27% correct, and then they jumped up quite a bit. And then if we're in comparison with the county, other schools who are also doing this summer school math scholars, same course, same materials, our kids in this fourth grade cohort really grew faster than the county average. So something to celebrate there for sure. Gonna market that, grab those summer school teachers and have them share their secrets with others. Curriculum adoption updates, this is something that I think we're most proud of. We are focusing on critical areas of ELA and math first. As you know, we came last year and we did the K-8 iReady math adoption. At the end of the year, we got some resources for our high school. We did the Envision, Algebra, Geometry, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and Geometry for our 9th through 12th graders at the high school. And 6th through 12th grade, we adopted My Perspectives for ELA. We are also currently starting to begin the process with our K-5 ELA. So that would be, everybody K-12 would have those critical areas. They'd have a new resource. We're also supporting other subjects. As you know, we adopted Art of Education University last year. Our K-5 physical education courses, we're partnering with Building Healthy Communities through Wayne State University. Our band programs, we saw the pictures of homecoming. We renewed MSBOA memberships so that they can start competing again. And we purchased some additional instruments this summer, some gently used instruments, which they love and they're working just fine. We have STEM that we're also purchasing resources and providing PD, sending our teachers to PD. We had our Little Inventors, you might recall, last spring, that our fourth graders are participating in some practices there. We know that Science 6-8 is next in line for a resource, and social studies is something that we need to look at as well. A couple highlights. Here's a picture of some students doing some work in Ms. Thrift's class at the high school, utilizing the Art of Education curriculum. I won't read the slide to you. For math, I just wanted to talk about, we know that we adopted mid-year last year for math for iReady, and just purchasing the materials, we don't stop there. We know that we still need to support teachers. We're supporting them with whole group trainings. We did one in August. We're doing another one coming up here November 7th. Tomorrow, we're going to be doing some learning walks in the classrooms with our iReady partners and our principals and our coaches. We're going to assess where we are with Try, Discuss, Connect routine, which is foundational to problem solving. We are encouraging teachers to use some of the asynchronous professional development, their video modules that they can log into their toolkit and find at any time. We also have created some really easy to follow onboarding documents for our new curriculum for teachers who may come in mid-year and maybe miss those kickoffs. They just have a tutorial where they walk through quite easy. And then of course our coaches will come and support. And then our iReady team also comes and meets with our leaders so that they know how to analyze diagnostic data and then share that with teachers. All right. Next one is just some adorable pictures, some students who are using the manipulatives for counting and problem solving. You can see students using those resources that you approved, the workbooks, the pairing and sharing as they talk about how to solve problems together. Our middle schoolers in iReady Math, we kind of did some interviewing, and these are some of the things that they said. I like how we get to discuss our answers and have the chance to fix how we solved a problem. They like the MyPath, that's a personalized learning piece, because it's giving them extra practice on things that they need to get better at. They like the partner time. They like, I like the 7th grade group. It's the 3 gentlemen there. It works. First we do try it, and then we get to use what we know and solve the problem our way. Then we get to talk and share how we solved it to find the best ways to get the answer. If our thinking is wrong, we're allowed to fix our work before we try again. So that's good feedback for us. Literacy Footprints is something that was purchased, I think, the year before last. We want to give a shout out again to our EDFT Scholarship Fund, who gave us a sizable donation to purchase a lot of resources, a lot of the books that teachers are using for their differentiated small group instruction, their guided reading time. Here's some of these photos. Students read books at their instructional level, small groups with the teacher. The other students then would be working on their personalized learning pathway or some of the other independent work that the teacher has assigned. Here you can see them reading, responding in journals, doing word study. Next slide, more, I couldn't leave any of these on the editing room floor. You can see them doing some word study, making words with those letters. And you see that there's a lot of great resources like this bookmark, which gives students strategies to help them figure out words. My perspective, grades 6 through 12, ELA, we rolled out the new curriculum at the start of this school year, so it's only been a couple of months. We had teachers who were actually chomping at the bit, who came in even early before school started because they wanted to get the resources in their hands. Our Savas learning consultants came and did a kickoff for us on the very first day of school. And again, they're going to be returning November 7th. And then we have a MISD ELA consultant who is supporting the department in weekly PLCs. And we're going to start doing some monthly check-ins so that we can dig a little deeper into all the resources. Teacher feedback, they're happy to have a curriculum so they don't have to piece things together or pull things from teachers pay teachers. We're happy about that too. Mm-hmm. Students are learning to think at a higher level. Students can write and annotate right in those resources, which is, again, building a deeper understanding. They're engaging with the text. It's helping their comprehension. Envision Math, also adopted last spring, implemented this fall. Teachers like the quicker pace, the online remediation. There's whole group, small group, independent practice. There's ready-made PowerPoints, which saves teachers some planning time. Teachers identify what to spend more time on based on student data. So our teachers are really embracing this new resource, and it's great to see. All right. So we do have a course of action in order to reach our strategic planning goal of providing the guaranteed and viable curriculum for all courses. We've kind of mapped out what we're doing and when, and supporting the implementation of new materials all in every stage. We know that the purchase is just the start. Our work begins when we provide the necessary professional development and the support for our instructional staff. And it's not just for a year, it's ongoing. Future adoptions, science, as I mentioned, social studies, some additional subjects for some non-core subjects, and we just started looking at the K-5 ELA. All right, professional development. We know our principals and instructional coaches are instrumental in the implementation of a new resource, and also receive training in how to best support staff, analyze data, and create action plans for continuous improvement in their building. So these are some of the things that we have currently for ongoing professional learning. We have these learning walks with consultant Pam Rosa, who is a teacher and coach favorite. We have iReady Math instructional walkthroughs that we're just beginning. Excited about that. We have My Perspectives and Envision Math. We're going to do some job-embedded coaching support there. Semester 2 at the high school. and that will continue into next year. And then our Art of Education University, if you recall, we purchased the on-demand professional development for teachers. So anytime there's a PD day, or even if it's 2 a.m, they can go on and watch those modules, which is awesome. This summer, even though it was summer vacation, our staff, we sent several staff members to multi-day trainings. We had iReady Math that they were able to complete self-paced modules, several hours, in fact, and a lot of them did that. We had Kagan strategies. We sent teachers from each building utilizing grant funds to multi-day trainings to learn about cooperative learning routines. And this was definitely a crowd favorite. And then in turn, we had the teachers who went to that training teach the others in their building. So we have a lot more people who would love to go to Kagan. I'm hoping that they're back in town next summer. We can send another group. And then, of course, the 3-5 literacy modules, they were new last year through the MISD. We were able to send teachers, many teachers from both Pleasant View and Bellevue. They were able to go with their colleagues and build shared understandings around small group reading instruction, writing, vocabulary, word study, comprehension, etc. And then, of course, we know the assessment piece is huge. So last spring we had a team of teachers, coaches, and admin who attended some sessions at the MISD to learn from the Michigan Assessment Consortium leaders there. And then we continued that work right before school started, and that's going to be an ongoing PD because it matches our PLC work so closely. We also have 5 district-provided professional development days, and we intentionally planned and spaced these out so that we would be able to provide professional development sessions at just the right time throughout the school year. This is not an exhaustive list, but in August, we were able to do those curriculum kickoffs. In September, our building principals did, they analyzed, they dug into their NWA data much more than we did here tonight. They rebooted some MTSS structures in their buildings. They really talked about the continuous school improvement goals in the building. We even had some CPR training at the Early Learning Center, which was great, taught by our own Russell Ball. November, we're planning more curriculum implementation as all those subjects that you see there. January, we have Jay Marks coming to do some work with our staff around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in April, we'll spend some time making sure everybody's ready for the upcoming state assessments.
I'll give you a break.
Thank you.
So there's been no shortage of work, as you can see. And being in the curriculum realm, this is very exciting. It's been an absolute full court press on getting instructional resources into the hands of our teachers and then supporting them as much as possible and keeping our eye on the ball. So we had a task, and I think we rose to the call of action this year, and thank you to this team for really putting together everything that they did, because even just piloting a resource is very time consuming, and there are processes in place now that we have, and they flows through, and we get the best resources in the hands of our teachers, and they get to help us select the best thing for our kids. Systems of support for staff. There has been ongoing professional learning, as we've stated before. We have our counselors attending a county-wide PD called Hatching Results. It's actually the first time this has ever been done with counselors. Sarah Stroback up at the ISD has put together this cohort, and it's counselors, hundreds of counselors from all over our county who are going to be working together around a curriculum and a rubric, which is really an interesting work for counseling. It's taking it to the next level to provide support for our students. We are kicking off the digital SAT suite of assessments. Instructional coaching networks are in full force. And Lisa does meet with our coaches and is kind of executing that across our district. And then restorative practices. We've been supporting our teacher leaders in receiving training around how to do restorative practices, even down to the elementary levels. We did have an administrative retreat in August where we took our principals and our district leaders to Lansing, and we did 3 days of very intensive work around our district systems, the strategic plan, and DEI with Jay Marks. Running the New Teacher Academy that kicked off in August. It was something that was very popular based on surveys last year when we piloted it, so we brought it back this year. They did a 2-day workshop around all the nuts and bolts of teaching, and then we are continuing the mentor and mentee partnership work with our teachers in structured support time called Dine and Discuss, where 2-hour sessions are held 5 times. We expanded it because everybody expressed an interest to do more of it this year. So we have 5 sessions where we work with our MSU extension partners, and we structure a mentor-mentee session around any number of topics to help aid them in their practice. And that's a cool one because it's K-12, and they don't always get to work with teachers from other levels. So they share strategies in these sessions that work across all levels, and there's a lot of ahas and celebrations amongst each other. Our partnerships, we have ISD consultants, our MSU outreach mentors and coaches, Pam Rosa. We have a number of consultants that we bring in to the fold to help us support the work as needed throughout our district. And then we have, of course, our robust meeting structure where we do have ad council. We have 2 a month. The second ad council of the month, we invite district leaders, and it is our leadership learning series. And so that's where we focus on specific learning around leadership skills, such as building collective efficacy, creating safe environments, how to coach teachers and do walkthroughs. We are also continuing our work from our admin retreat around DEI, and the work of Jay Marks is the running thread that kind of flows through those meetings. We have performance management meetings once a quarter. Our leadership partners with our principals are biweekly, and then our regular coaching meetings. And we've had like I said, a full court press on PLC reboots and instruction.
And I guess I'm next.
And here's Donna Fabian Grossman to share her work.
And actually, I'm working with the MTSS, which is Multi-Tiered System of Support. And Lisa talked about all the wonderful curriculum we have going. And so to support, to make sure the students are getting what they need, excuse me, the MTSS system for academic attendance and behavior. And one of the big problems we've seen throughout the state of Michigan and actually the United States is attendance. And so that's so important right now. The goal of the MTSS process is to meet the specific needs of each child by providing necessary interventions and supports for them to succeed. And so we're putting all this curriculum in place, and now we have to make sure they succeed at it. We have like academic support, and we have not lots, but we have hired Title I academic paraprofessionals who are providing additional interventions and give support to students during non-core instructional time. We also have high-dosage tutoring. And for the non-academic support, we have like PBIS, positive behavior intervention support, and we also have support staff like at-risk social workers, registered behavior tech, restorative practice facilitators, and BCBAs. The next thing that's really important to me is, and to our school, is the school aligning with the families. Because really, it's like, I see it as a 3-prong chair. We have the school, we have the community, and we have the families. And anyone working against the other, the child cannot succeed. It's really important we work together. And so we have a system in place where we really support all our families and try to make sure whatever the struggles are, we could get them the resources they need. Family engagement is a requirement for Title I, and we know that partnering with parents is a key to student success. And a lot of our schools are really trying to partner with families and open their buildings to families and invite them in. Right now, the number one concern we have is attendance, like I mentioned, and MTSS, I'm the MTSS, McKinney-Vento Coordinator, and Family Liaison. And so I've been working with the principals, and over the past couple of weeks, we've had a couple meetings with families about attendance, and we've had really good turnout and really good responses. And like mentioned by the superintendent earlier, one of the big problems is transportation or routines. You know, the child don't want to wake up. So we talked about the different things they could put in place to make that happen. We provide assistance to families in need, and we connect people to resources, transportation, clothing closets, food pantries, and the community have really been really good to our schools, and the resources has been excellent. So right now what we're trying to do, whenever a family runs into difficulty, we try to get them connected to the right resources, and that way the child is definitely in school. The other thing is our grants update. Our office manages several state and federal grants that help us upgrade the entire educational programs of our school. Expenditures are identified during the annual comprehensive needs assessment process and must be connected to our continuous improvement strategic planning goals in the MyKIP. We are pleased to be able to provide the following with grant funds. We provide quite a few things with our grant funds. We have additional staff for interventions, instructional coaches, counselors, tutorers, school social workers, etc. We do a lot of professional development, like Lisa mentioned, parent involvement activities, and that is becoming more and more district-wide, and I think that's great. The more our parents see what we're doing, the more support we get, and the better our children do. If parents aren't involved, our children are not going to do well. So that's a good part. And we have many opportunities for our students. Like this past summer, we sent 4 students to summer camp, and that was an amazing thing. The families were so pleased, and the children got to experience things they never got to experience before in life, so it was a good thing. Thank you.
All right. Those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Patrick Taylor. I'm the district librarian. I just wanted to share some updates from our 6 school libraries and some celebrations. One of the biggest celebrations that I have for this year is the increase in circulation at the high school. We used a good amount of ESSER funds, not only to update the look and the furniture and the infrastructure of the high school library, but also the materials that are there, the books that kids have access to. And I will say that within the first 7 weeks of the school year this year, the number of checkouts at the high school exceeded that of all of last year, which is a wonderful thing. Students are reading, they're enjoying what they're reading. That's also matched by the traffic we're seeing in the high school library as well. For the past couple years, we would always have a crew of about 10 to 12 students who would come in at lunch because they just wanted an alternative place to spend their lunchtime or just have some quiet. And but this year, it's like people are more or less lining up to get in there as fast as they can. So we're seeing like a number of like 40 to 50 students coming into the library at lunch, which is awesome. We have brought a routine book checkout back to East Point Middle School with the help of Mr. Kaminsky. who's our media paraprofessional there. In the bottom right corner, you can see a picture of him kind of doing some library orientation with Miss Bellinger's class. At Forest Park, we have a return of the elementary library media class with Mrs. Biskey, Angela Biskey, who's undergoing the library science program at Wayne State right now. So a big thing that I've had, a big push that I've had for the last several years is having things on display as much as they can, facing things front, making it so that kids can see the contents of our library. They're not just staring at book spines on a shelf. They're actually seeing the covers and they're wanting to engage more with the materials. It's kind of more of like a shopping experience, like a Barnes & Noble type thing. Our upper elementary classes, in the years past, they've come into the library every other week, and we've now increased that to weekly visits. Which is great, more time with finding what they like to read. And on October 31st, which is a half day, we actually have an author coming to visit. Liza Weimer. And this was coordinated in collaboration with the Michigan Association of School Librarians and the Anti-Defamation League. The Anti-Defamation League is actually footing the bill, which is pretty great. Some other things that I forgot to include on the slide were just, I worked with the Macomb ISD to enable Google single sign-on for our library system. So now students can log into the catalog, they can browse, they can place holds, they can request interlibrary loans, all that kind of stuff, just like using the public library. And here we just have some pictures of kids being cute and enjoying the space. But all those schools are represented there.
The libraries look beautiful, Patrick. All the new furnishings. I hope you all get a chance to visit and check that out. So we are at the end here. So at the beginning of this presentation, we asked two questions, our objectives, where are we and what are we doing to address it? And as you can see, we're doing much to address the needs of our students, our staff, our families. We are grateful to be part of this team and to be doing this work. Two final things, actually. We're on the go. We're living into our strategic plan. Just last week, there was a team that we were able to send to Nashville, and two of them are here tonight. I don't know, Stephanie, if you wanted to add to this, but our district has committed to exploring. You're gonna have to go back for me there. Exploring a variety of models. This year in our strategic plan, we were able to send 5 teachers and admin to visit Nashville academies as a school study. They were there with other schools from all around the country. They toured schools, they met with staff, they attended a rigorous schedule of sessions to learn more about the Ford Next Gen program and the academy framework. And then I just wanted to also say 25 of our East Detroit high school students participated in Manufacturing Day. It was the 10th one in Macomb County. They took a tour of Well-Deloy Specialty Foragings. CTE Department Head Candace Shoemake reported that our students were very impressed. They got to see the whole site, and they were very impressed and said that some would even consider postgraduate work in manufacturing. Thank you to the high school team for empowering students to become future ready. And again, just empowering and caring and succeeding. We thank you for your time. I know that was a little long-winded, but we have much that we're doing and much to celebrate. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Well, I would normally open it up to the others to ask questions or comments, but I think I kind of wanted to go first because I get tired of them asking the questions that I wanted to ask sometimes. So
Your rank, huh?
I was jotting down a couple notes. First off, there was a couple things as far as the data was concerned. Projected growth. Okay, the diamond was projected growth, correct?
My slide.
I'm pretty certain the diamond is projected growth.
Yep, that's.
Okay, and then the bar is actually where our students are, okay? And it's probably easier if I talk about it without looking at it, to tell you the truth. Because I see it in my head already anyways. I was just wondering, when they come up with a diamond, let's say, for instance, for fourth grade, where does that data actually come from? How does that projected growth get established? Is that something you do as a district?
No.
Or is it something another entity is doing? Okay. And then my question is when you have your diamond for fourth grade, what is it actually based upon? Is it based upon the fourth grade from the previous year?
It would.
Or is it based upon the performance of that
That cohort.
third grade the previous year? And then they establish a projected growth number
You've
as to
got
where
it.
they expect them to be at the next year?
Yes,
Okay.
because we know we can't.
I just wanted to make sure I
Right,
understood that
superficiency,
correctly.
Right, there's.
Because you could see how
Yeah, you've got it.
it can't get, they used to mix up that data a lot of times, right? Where they're comparing fourth grade from one year, from fourth grade from a different year, and it's not the same set of students, so it's not the same thing.
Well, we'll track
Here, that
data.
data is actually the same set of students.
In the
Okay.
particular data slides that the curriculum department shared tonight, it was cohort data.
Right.
We will oftentimes look at data fourth grade to fourth grade to monitor how a curriculum might be being installed, right? Did the same group of children, did a different group of children experiencing the same conditions have the same results? So you might look at data, you try to look at it in different ways, but this data was cohort, fall the previous year, all the way through
Okay.
to
Right.
fall in this year.
Well, to me, that's a bit more accurate data anyways. It's not always 100% accurate because there could be changes that happen between the years as well too, but it's a lot better data than comparing one fourth grade to a different, complete set of different fourth graders,
Right.
which they have done in the past, and that's not necessarily good practice. The other one is there was the data that was based upon student characteristics, okay? Now, I don't expect you to be able to answer this one here. I don't think you decide what those characteristics are or anything like that. Once again, that data is supplied by a separate entity,
Correct.
correct? Is there a way, or is it possible to where we could actually get the list of what those characteristics are that they use?
So it depends on the test. NWEA, if we're using NWEA data, is normative data. And NWEA has a transparency page that they put out when they come out with their normative data comparisons. What they do is they look at all of the schools all across the country and create pools of children that are similar to similar. So similar demographics, similar socioeconomics, similar components with free and reduced lunch, and then they create a normative data reference set.
I mean, yeah, I understand how it is, but they have a specific list of characteristics that they're looking at, and then they'll weigh the characteristics, they'll say, based upon these 12 factors,
These are the factors.
these districts are kind of like these districts, are similar, and that's how they're doing it. Do you guys even get supplied with those factors, or no?
You can research those factors, and NWA has a number of papers that they've put out.
Okay.
Explaining.
I'm just
how
kinda
they
curious,
do their
that's my own
normative data.
personal curiosity.
I have not seen how normative data is with SAT or PSAT.
No.
I haven't seen how that is calculated.
I just get concerned
I'm
about
gonna
some of
go
the
look.
factors that they're basing, how they judge education
will be
in similar
researching.
districts. What makes them similar exactly is what it was, I'm wondering.
Well, no-
That's why I said, I don't think we can have 100% listing of exactly what those
No,
characteristics.
and
I don't,
truthfully,
and I haven't
we use the
understand.
benchmark data, NWEA, 3 times a year, because for us, that is the most helpful. It's not like what we call autopsy reporting, which would be the state assessments at the end of the year. These tests tell us along the way, how are we doing with moving the needle on our students? And that growth piece is really critical. We focus probably more on that than proficiency, because we want to be moving the needle for our kids and our students. Oftentimes, I mean, we have some pretty large learning gaps. So if we just focus on proficiency, we may not ever really get there. Focusing on the growth allows us to kind of dissect those standards and figure out those relative strengths and weaknesses, and then tailor our instruction and our interventions, and also possibly extension, towards those individual students. To, because we only have 180, 5 days to really work with them. So those NWEA, the benchmark throughout the year, are really the focus. I think they're the most helpful as an instructor in your practice.
Okay, and then I just have one final comment. It's not a question. You made the comment about the length. I don't care. This is the kind of stuff that early on in my professional development as a board member, this is what we should be talking about. This is what our meetings should be about. We should be talking about our curriculum, the programs that we have in our school district that are positively affecting our students. So I have no problem with the length, and if it dominates our meetings, that we talk about the programs that we have in our district, because it gives us the ability as a board, even though it's not our responsibility to understand every X and O and being able to implement those programs, because that falls upon you. But it is nice if we understand what programs we have out there and the highlights of those programs, so that we can share the story of our district from a more educational basis as well, too. Because I think we all need to be, I've really been thinking about that a lot. We need to be changing the story a lot more in our district as well as in public education in general.
Yeah.
So the more we know about our district, the more we can share as board members as well, too. So I thank you, and then, since I went first, it's on you guys now.
I want to go next before you keep us here all night. My thing is really home life. That's the best way I can say it, because one of the main things was children getting up, making sure they have the necessary resources, making sure they have a stable place to go. A lot of children hide or don't share that there's something going on with them. And so I really want to make sure that we stress making sure that our kids have a safe place to go, that they are eating, even if it's a Saturday and a Sunday, not just school days. And so I don't know how we can do that, or how it can be expressed. I know we have resources online on our webpage for people, but I really hate to see, sure, call this number and they might be able to help you. We need some
Tangible.
There you go, that's the word I'm looking for, something tangible so they can say, okay, if you're hungry, I need you to go to this place at this time, and it's available for them. You see what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that I really am concerned about, because children hungry or haven't slept or have no place to go, or that affects school just like it affects everything else. And so it's really good that y'all have a start and y'all are working on that part, and please don't let that piece fall by the. Thank you, Mr.
We're
Williams.
driven by that whole child concept.
Yes.
A lot together, don't you?
Yes.
Can I go
Thank
next?
you. I appreciate you in coming up today. Yeah, you can go now.
I can go now?
You guys can arm wrestle if you like.
You guys,
I'm not gonna.
you guys are doing a great job. I've been here 6 years, going on 6 years, and you said the data was from fall to fall, but looking at the progression from year to year and filling those gaps and the need of the child, I think it's a tremendous job. My question would be, from a percentage standpoint, how much parental engagement, if you would put it on a scale from 20%, 10 to 20%, 100%, parental engagement in that task, because there's a lot going on there.
I think what we'll do, Robert Roscoe, or Treasurer Roscoe, please excuse me, is the team is, parent-teacher conferences were just recently held. We can give you some quantifiable data. We don't have it today, but we can definitely follow back up and give you, we are seeing an increase in our parent participation at events. We have not looked at the data from our parent-teacher conferences. So we'd like the opportunity to take that question and to come back at the next board meeting and bring you some more quantifiable data, which talks more about our parent involvement. But I also feel that you're leading to this piece about, and Donna Fabian Grossman has been working on this, is with schools and with families, is how do we meet people where they are? You know, and lots of questions come up about school routines, because we take for granted that some people know how to get out to the door in the morning in a successful way, and yet there are things that sometimes people just don't realize could improve their morning routine. And so instead of blaming families for, well, you know, you're late and you're not here, it is our job to meet them where they are. And I've learned this from Donna, is that when we meet them where they are, we can help to grow them to where they need to be and to that next step. And so it isn't about blaming or shaming families. It's about how can we support you in identifying some areas of opportunity for you to be a success at home. And so we've started talking about families as what additional things could we as a district do to help increase parental involvement at home, that we're working together, we're not working against families.
But I just want to celebrate what you guys were doing thus far. It should be celebrated. It should be commended. The church say amen?
I just want to echo from all of my board members. I had all my questions written down, and they asked them all like they were reading off of my paper. So, yeah, I'm satisfied, and thanks for the great job that you all do day in and day out for our students, and as well as our families. Thank you.
Here. We good? All right.
Next item is adoption of Title IX procedure.
Yes, please, thank you, Board of Education. This evening, you've been presented in your packets the adoption of our revised Title IX procedure. As the superintendent, the superintendent's office has been going through the Board of Education policies and identifying areas where our website and our policies, internal policies, need to be updated. We plan to bring the full administrative guidelines to this Board of Education before this year is out, but we found that our Title IX procedures needed to be updated sooner, so that is here for your adoption this evening.
Is there a motion for adoption of the Title IX procedure as presented?
I make a motion that we adopt the Title IX procedures as presented.
Support?
Any questions, comments? Seeing none, please call the vote.
Dr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Gruenberg,
Yes?
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Rayford? Yes. Mrs. Richardson?
Yes.
And Mrs. Gruenberg?
Yes.
I was thinking on this next item, recommendation for approval, new board member orientation. Is that something that the chair of the committee would like to present to us?
Sure, thank you, Mr. President, thank you, Board. We presented a rough draft for you all at the last meeting on the 9th, and we made the updates, and everything that we discussed at the last meeting was implemented or removed. So what we're asking is that we approve the East Point new board members orientation at today's meeting.
Would you like to turn that into a motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we approve the new board member orientation.
I support.
We support.
Thank you.
Ms. Grunberg, support.
Ms. Grunberg, yeah.
You guys have anything further you'd like to add?
I would just like to say something real quick. It was a fun process with my committee and the superintendent and Wendy. And I'd like to thank Wendy and the superintendent because they brought a lot to the table for us to really look at and go through. It was some good ideas, and I think that eventually, because after looking at some of the ones in the other schools, if you want to call them a new hire process, I think we should present ours. I think it's that good. And that's all I have to say.
All right. Good job.
Anything else? I just want to thank you guys before we vote, I just want to thank you guys for the hard work.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys met a couple times, and you even met off to the side a couple times too. I think, weren't you meeting either before or after meetings to talk about it a little bit, which is perfectly legit. There's only 3 of yous. And I just like the fact that you guys put the time in, and that's nice. And also, I'd like to thank, the 2 new board members, because you actually brought it to our attention that we need a substantial improvement in our orientation process.
Absolutely.
And it's because of you that this whole thing got started. And of course, to
Absolutely.
the chair for chairing it. Thank you.
It was a pleasure working with the team, and we had a great time putting it together, as Mrs. Grunberg stated. Thank you.
Anything else? Please call a vote.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mrs. Grunberg?
Yes.
Mr. Grunberg?
Yes.
Dr. Early?
Yes.
Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Rayford?
No.
Mrs. Richardson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next, we have business operations, facilities master plan. I thought we'd see this guy get up.
Hey, Rob. There's the numbers, man.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This evening, I'm here to present or ask your approval for a facilities master plan. A couple years ago, the district engaged Perry Soldwheel to lead the development of a strategic plan, which will guide the district's activities for the next 5 years, set a blueprint. Goal 5 of that strategic plan is for strategic plan. Goal 5 is resources, finances, facilities, and technology. And it's to align human, financial, physical resources to ensure integrity and equity and resource allocation and planning. So the aligned strategy for Goal 5 is to explore facility reorganization or consolidation to improve the effectiveness and efficiency in the delivery of programs and services to our students. So to that end, we really don't have the expertise in-house to do that. So we began talking to our architects, got referrals from them, from several consulting firms, and we finally, after about 2 months, seemed to have found the right partner for this. And this organization is called Cooperative Strategies, and they've led this work where they help school districts envision the future of their educational program as a basis for determining which buildings to keep, modernize, replace, reconfigure, or repurpose, in what order the project should be accomplished. So we have this bond money available to us. We want to make sure that we're spending it wisely. We have certain things that were approved in the bond application that we can spend money on, but we want to really make sure that we are using the money wisely based on the programs that we're going to be offering and, get the best return for that investment for our taxpayers. So this company has actually led this process for over 300 school districts in the United States. They're a national company. Locally, they've helped Detroit Community Schools, Birmingham Public Schools, Grand Rapids, Rochester Community Schools, or Romeo Community Schools. So they got a really good track record. The cost for this service is $60,000, plus incidental expenses not to exceed $3,000. So the work will take about 4 to 6 months. The work involves taking data that we have available for us and data that they will accumulate. So they're going to be looking at our facilities assessment, where our architects, partners in architecture, actually toured our buildings, walked every classroom, looked in all the boiler rooms, and came up with all our needs, and they have, like, for as far as infrastructure goes. And, we have $52 million of needs. That was a few years ago before all the prices escalated. They also look at our enrollment trends. They look at, the number of births, where our kids are actually going. Like our residents, as many of you know, more resident students attend other school districts than ours. So they helped us plan, like, what our growth could be. So we're excited to work with them. They seem very experienced. Everything that they do, we were looking for. So we think it's a really good match. So I'm asking your approval to proceed with this contract with Cooperative Strategies. There's a possibility that this will be funded with money from the ISD that they use for school consolidation. Or if that doesn't work, it'll be our general fund that pays for this service. Any questions?
I have a question. So the Cooperative Strategies, their job is to come in and assess each one of our buildings?
Well, that's part of it, but I think it's more of they start, like, from a bigger picture, like what do we want to offer our families? Where are we going to define our niche? And then they look at our facilities to see if they, first of all, line up with the delivery of those services.
So Cooperative Strategies is more of a comprehensive. So we had a facility study done by Partners in Architecture that looked at all of the HVAC systems in the district, the layouts of the buildings, the electrical work, the capacity to provide instruction, how many usable spaces there were. What Cooperative Strategies will do is take that work and move it to the next level. How many children live geographically around this school? Should we keep a K2 and 3-5 split? Is it more advantageous for serving our community if we look at a different modality of how we structure and organize the facilities that we have? So it takes the facilities study of the nuts and bolts of each school and ratchets it up a notch and starts to look at the birth rates and the trends, looks at our increasing enrollment at our other schools and how we utilize our facilities to maximize the efforts that we put in. What the community needs is to have its bond work be done well and as delivered, and we want to be good financial stewards of not only our fiscal resources, but of our physical buildings. There will be some tough decisions that the district may have to make. Our occupancy at our high school is very low. Our occupancy at our middle school is low. These are big, large buildings. Our executive team did not feel that we are in the position to make decisions that could impact this community for, long after our time in this organization. We wanted to find an expert in this area that could look at not only the physical facilities, but how are we aligning our grade span groupings to support our families? And can we increase our enrollment and service our community better by having a more deep study done? So that is why we kept searching and found Cooperative Strategies.
And they involve the community at every step in the process, so there'll be input, from the community through our meetings and updates with the Board of Education.
Okay.
Finish here.
No, that was going to be my next question. How are we going to be able to involve the community in the decisions of what we find through this Cooperative Strategies group?
Yeah.
And that was going to be, I guess I'll tag what you were doing. How far, or does it run parallel to the strategic plan, the present strategic plan that we have in
Yes,
place.
it lines up with our strategic plan, goal number 5.
Okay.
Yep, this wasn't one of the action items that the action team defined as something we needed to do in year one, was to develop a facilities master plan. Our team has grappled with the fact that we don't have the capacity. It's something outside of our ability to conduct one on our own. And so we went looking for a consultant that would fit the bill for not only the facilities, but what appealed to us the most about cooperative strategies was their ability to understand the programming. So we know that the trades came up as a big piece in this community as part of our strategic plan. They take that into consideration then. If that's a pathway that we're on, then how do we utilize those buildings in a way that supports our mission as well as the instructional programming that we'd like to see in our schools and in our community?
Great job.
We want to take our buildings to the next level and make sure that we are becoming the heart of learning and care for our students and community. And this service allows us and helps us to get very clear about how to utilize our buildings in the best capacity.
I think it's really, it shows the integrity of the people involved, that you're okay to say, I can't do it. And we see ourselves one way, but once they start digging into it, they'll be able to tell us what we really need to do and how we need to do it in order to make sure that our children are getting what they need. So I applaud y'all for saying, yes, I don't know, because it's okay to say I don't know and to bring in somebody. I always ask this question, though, is there enough contingency in there just in case we have to get them a little bit more to make sure that they're giving us what we need? Because we don't want no shortcomings,
No,
because
it's a flat rate.
it is, okay.
Regardless of the size of the school district, it's the same process, so
It is,
it's a
okay.
flat rate that they charge their customers.
Okay, great, because that's one of my biggest
Yeah.
concerns. I don't want them to get shortchanged or be like, okay, y'all job is too much, we can't handle this, like,
Yeah.
we need to know it, good, bad, or ugly. We need to know what we need to fix or improve or throw away or whatever. So I really appreciate that, because,
Thank you.
you know, we can't do all this by ourselves. We can't see ourselves the way other
That's
people
right.
can see.
Right.
Through the lenses. So, thank you.
Yeah, you just kind of said what I was going to say, I think.
Great minds think alike.
Well, why are you thinking like me then?
I have a
You don't
great
want to
mind.
think like me.
I have a great mind.
No, I was just going to say, to me, what I envision this as being is the public gave us some financial resources to use, okay? This company that we're going to contract with will help us to make sure that we use those financial resources responsibly in utilization as well as improvement of the facilities that we have to better meet the needs of our children.
Yep. And I want to be.
And I just kind of looked at that as like my basic vision of what's going to happen. We got some money here, we're going to use it in the best way we can on our facilities to meet the needs of our children, which is what is the most important thing. And I sure hope that's kept in the forefront of everybody's mind as we go through the process, is our children.
And I want to be
That's all I
clear that the district did a thorough investigation of all of our
Mm-hmm.
facilities prior to even calling for an election on the bond.
Right.
This internal facilities master plan will help the district plan what the next bond
Mm-hmm.
should be, right? It will help to give us a long-range plan beyond our tenure in the district. And we can't be short-sighted when we are looking at the facilities that will impact this community beyond our years of service.
I don't think we have a motion on the floor yet, do we?
No, we do not.
Does somebody want to throw one out there? If not, I will. Okay, I would move that we approve contract for facilities master plan with cooperative strategies.
Support.
I think I heard Dr. Early first.
It was Ms. Rayford was first.
Ms.
Ms.
Rayford was
was
on
first,
first?
yeah.
Well, no, you're all, huh?
I think the three of us all.
I just want to let everybody know
Thank you.
that if you see some things in my ears in a couple of weeks or by the next meeting, this is part of the reason why, is because I need to start wearing something in my ears, just so you know. Don't think it, and they may kind of look like what some of these kids say are AirPods, but they're not AirPods. So if you see me wearing them here, it's so I can better hear folks up here. That's all. Please call the vote. You got who it is, right? I'll know who it is next.
Mr. Grunberg,
Yes.
Mrs. Rayford,
Yes.
Dr. Early,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, yes. Mr. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Richardson,
Yes.
and Mrs. Grunberg.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
That stayed on, too.
Did it stay on?
Glued it tonight.
Yeah, I'm not pulling real hard. We'll let it set up longer, but yeah, it seems like it's gonna make it. Seems like it's gonna make it now.